Also in the Observer, we got justice. Family of the murdered returning resident Delroy Walker still hurting, but satisfied killers have been punished. Hmm. In the Gleaner, sections of Hanover under curfew, and the candidates urged to respect political paraphernalia amid claims of defacement. Those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we read some of the feedback from our social media question. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, rate on average the Emancipendence celebrations over the years. We're asking you to leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. We'll be right back.
Tiles and more tiles. It's the Totally Tiles sale event at Home and Things. Enjoy massive savings on new arrivals, plus weekly flash deals you don't want to miss. Save big on A-grade floor and wall tiles. Trendy designs, colors and sizes, we've got it all. Plus other items discounted store-wide. Catch the Totally Tiles sale event now on at Home and Things, Oswald Road and Constance Ring Road. Follow us at Home and Things JA on Instagram and TikTok for our flash deals weekly. Lots of tiles, lots of styles, lots of deals.
Attention seniors, great news! Your July 2025 social pension payment is here and ready for collection. Simply check your text messages to confirm your payment details. For more information, call 876-922-8013 or visit the ministry's website at www.mlss.gov.jm. The Social Pension Program, caring for our elderly. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, providing opportunity, stability, and social protection.
It all comes down to this. The voices have inspired. The talent has amazed. Now it's time for the grand finale of Jamaica Gospel Star 2025. Live at the National Indoor Sports Center in Kingston this Sunday, August 3 at 8 p.m. Come witness the final showdown as the top gospel voices in the nation lift their praise and battle for the crown. Listen live on Love 101 FM as we will share the season's finale with you. That's Jamaica Gospel Star 2025, the season finale, Sunday, August 3 at 8 p.m. Live on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Jokal for a look at how our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp friends answered today's question on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Rate on average the Emancipendence celebrations over the years. Jokal?
All right, so we have Cherry in Spanish Town. Cherry's giving it a 10. She says, once you understand what our culture is about, and the organizers, the Ministry of Culture, they really do their best each year to depict our culture in a way for us to appreciate and understand. So she gives it a 10.
Okay, all right. 10, okay. As we prepare to celebrate Emancipendence, in this part 1 of our discussion, we'll focus on the emancipation or freedom aspect of the celebrations. And to assist us in so doing, we have joining us Danae Peart, change maker, writer, cultural curator, media and business consultant, as well as host on Vibe 105 FM. We also have the Reverend Dr. Stephen Jennings, pastor of the Mona Circuit of Baptist Churches, and he's also a member of the Reparations Committee. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, morning. Reverend Jennings, Dr. Jennings, not here now. You muted? Okay. We'll sort that out soon. Danae Peart, still with us?
Yes, I'm here. Are you hearing me?
Yes, hearing you. Good. Well, tomorrow is Emancipation Day.
Yes.
What does emancipation mean to you?
I've really battled with this for a while. Emancipation, I must say, is two things. Emancipation has to feel like emancipation, and it also is a legal or policy conversation, right? So, as an individual, do I feel emancipated? In ways, as somebody living as a Jamaican in the diaspora, there is not as much connection to emancipation as we would like, but we do our best, especially in Toronto, we do our best to have connection through celebrations and events. Now, do we feel legally emancipated? That would mean looking at our books. That would mean looking at our constitution. That would mean looking at the ways in which policy impacts our freedoms. And so, because of that, I would want to say it's mixed. My response to that is mixed.
I don't know if Reverend Jennings has joined us. Reverend Dr. Jennings? Okay, still not on. So you say your response is mixed. So to which side is it a greater view
I,
on
I,
your part?
I lean towards freedom and I
Uh-huh.
hope for freedoms. But I must say that, there are different things that hamper our decision making, from political decisions and political powers to, whether or not we can walk freely among others. And we see right now we're living in a time where a lot of things impact that, right? Whatever we're seeing happening with immigration and challenges with immigration. I'm a person who personally feels that the world should be borderless and that we should be able to walk freely on this earth that God gave us. But that is not the reality of laws and rules, right? So that is why I say yes. I lean I lean towards freedom, but I
Yes.
do know that there are things that impact that.
Okay. Reverend Dr. Jennings with us? Not hearing you, sir, even though we've seen you. All right, something is happening there in that regard. Still with you then, Danae Peart. Can you just remind our listening and viewing audience of Emancipation Day? How did it become a reality, and why is it celebrated as a holiday from your perspective?
From my perspective, it's an important marker, more so than even independence, because we were coming out of the brutal slave trade. We were coming out of colonialism to an extent, and we were as people being allowed different things like adult suffrage and so on, followed after emancipation. So the crux of the matter is, persons who were once seen as chattel, seen as objects and ergo royal subjects, were then allowed to, walk a little bit more upright, to not be treated as chattel slaves, and to, start to chart their own course in life as humans, because we were treated as subhuman. So the idea that we were emancipated from that is very essential to, I think, our existence as Jamaicans. It is something that I think we should actually revisit to hammer in how essential that multi-year journey towards freedom is to our existence.
Yes, and do well. Emancipation. How should it be celebrated? Because I think it was on and off for years.
Yeah.
Now we pretty much have it on the calendar. Seems to be a staple. But how, in your view, should Emancipation Day be really celebrated, if not?
So I think it depends on the scenario. So in Toronto, for example, we celebrate emancipation by doing what we call a freedom train ride. So we take over the subway system in Toronto, and leading up to midnight,
Who is we? Who is
the
we?
black Canadians, not
Oh.
just Jamaicans, black Canadians, go on the subway system. It's basically chartered for 2 hours leading up to midnight, and we go on the railway, and we call it the Freedom Train Ride. And on that ride, we do readings from slave narratives. We do readings from those who were considered our heroes and so on what it means to be free. Of course, in the context of Canada, which was seen as Freedom North, a lot of people talk about the Underground Railroad. So it is symbolic that we then go on a train leading into Emancipation Day to do this. So that's one way that we commemorate it in this city. And as a person in the diaspora, it is something I try not to miss, because there's always a connection with community and communities, because emancipation was not just in the islands. Multiple blacks in North America and in the Caribbean can resonate and connect on emancipation. So that's how we do it here. In Jamaica, I've seen, from church services to gatherings in squares where, little performances and so on happen. Whatever that means to Jamaicans, I think maybe what should be explored is what is significant. How do we convey freedom in the Jamaican setting? Because I think it is very powerful and symbolic for us to do a Freedom Train Ride where we have trains. Remember,
Right.
Jamaica to have
Jamaica
trains.
doesn't have any trains
Exactly.
running at that
So-
level.
So you don't
No.
have that
Yeah.
context. So what in the context on the island represents freedom for you? And then that would actually make people come a little bit more into it and understand it. What does it mean to be free to the Jamaican living there with high prices and stress and all the crime that surrounds them and so on? What does freedom look like for them? And that is what you intertwine into the celebration.
Okay. I gather we now have online Reverend Dr. Stephen Jennings. Good morning.
Morning, Dr. Tesson.
Yeah.
Morning, Mr.
Yes.
Morning, Dr. Jennings.
Yeah, good to have you with us. Of course, we're talking about emancipation celebrations tomorrow, and this is part one. Next week we look at another aspect. From your perspective, Dr. Jennings, are you pleased with how we have been celebrating emancipation over the years?
I would say that I'm grateful that we have restarted the celebration, and obviously there are things that can be improved. There was a time that it was not being celebrated in Jamaica, as you may know, because while it was celebrated after the actual first time of emancipation in 1834, by the time we became independent, they stopped doing it. And it was a group of churches that led the way to get that back on the national calendar. That, in fact, led to it coming back. So I'm grateful that it's back. I think we have to, as the Spirit was saying just now, figure out what are the things we celebrate. I think our blessing is also a curse, the fact that it's come so close to independence, that both things get merged in the popular mind. And they're two quite different things. And again, as she was saying, the emancipation is linked to a wider project of emancipation in many places in the Caribbean and other parts of the world we need to be a part of.
Yes, stick a pin right there, Reverend, upon a break. At the end of the break, we will be back to hear more.
The time that Grace could move is
7:45.
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together, because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move.
Always a good move when you're moving with Grace.
turn the flame up
and take it to 100. This summer we're turning up the love across Jamaica. It's the Double the Love Summer Tour with Love 101.
Everything a double.
Join us in 5 parishes for live broadcast of the Gospel Train and Youth Connection, plus community cook-offs, family sports, games, and good vibes from Portmore to St. Thomas, Manchester, Mobile, and Kingston.
I'm about to have a good day.
We're spreading faith, fun, and fellowship island-wide. And it all ends with a big back-to-school grand finale in Kingston. The Double the Love Summer Tour, powered by Love 101, the family station. Don't you miss it.
God made the universe, knows me by my name, so it's a good day. Baby in my arms, walking through the neighborhood.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And this is the second watch. We are celebrating Emancipendence, part 1, as we focus on emancipation, freedom. And in so doing, we have online Reverend Dr. Stephen Jennings, pastor of the Mona Circuit of Baptist Churches, and he's also a member of the Reparations Committee, as well as Danae Peart, change maker, writer, cultural curator, media and business consultant, and host of Vibe 105 FM. Before the break, Reverend Jennings, you're responding to the question if you are pleased with how Jamaica has been celebrating emancipation over the years.
Yes, thank you. I think we can improve in particular ways. I think we need to explore the link, for instance, in churches between the matter of freedom as a general concept and how that can be concretized in the everyday lives of people. People have said that freedom is not just an event, it's an ongoing process. And when we think of freedom, we tend to say freedom from sin. But the idea is, what does sin look like in the world, and what would freedom and salvation look like in the world? Those are the kinds of ways I think the church could explore, not just at the level of intellectual lectures, but at the level of concrete practices. And by church, I mean there are churches coming together, working, fleshing it out, and so on. So that it becomes something more meaningful to people. The national events are what they are. They tend to be cultural expressions. But I think the churches can do a bit more as well.
Yes. Danae Peart, still with us?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, how you respond to those who argue that as a people, I think we're alluding to that earlier, emancipation is only in theory, but not in actuality, especially when issues of indebtedness and dependence on others come into the equation. What's your response to that?
Yeah, and I think that's why I started off being mixed on this issue, because we have to view independence and emancipation in a modern lens. What does freedom feel like? Remember where I started. What does freedom feel like, and what does it look like on the papers, on the books? Jamaica, for instance, has carried a consistent debt load that has held us back in many ways. Over the years, we've seen some amount of loosening up of that as we pay down these debts. But what about those who are right now globally fighting for reparations? The Caribbean is owed a major debt, and one of the ways that we could have accomplished this is debt forgiveness, so that we can free up the reins for people to have good, clear health, good, clear education, good, clear access to waterways and systems. But we stop at and we stop short on emancipation all the time, because You know, a lot of people don't want to talk about the slavery piece, but it is the slavery piece that got us here. It is the slavery piece that has held us back, and it's the slavery piece that, through systems and structures of colonial systems and capitalist systems, that have continued to hold us back. So until we are very clear that in the modern sense, freedom looks like ABC, we will continue to undersell what emancipation means. And that is a real concern for me. I think, you know, given that we're on a religious station, we should also talk about religious freedoms. Religious freedoms is very near and dear to me because I was raised Adventist, and I know the challenges around people identifying with different religions and being free and feeling free to relate to religion. And one of the things that the Jamaican Constitution outlines is that we must have the ability to practice our faith publicly and privately, and to have the ability to change our beliefs. So freedom is also a choice thing. So when we're fettered by the systems, when we are fettered by the interpretations or misinterpretations of law, we also run in the risk of not having that emancipation.
Interesting. Dr. Jennings, same type of question to you. Those who are saying that we probably should not have Emancipation Day being celebrated because we're not really emancipated in the true sense of the word. How do you respond to that, sir?
I would say that it always has been a double-edged sword. In the initial Emancipation Proclamation, while people were free from enslavement, they were forced to work for 4 more years at substandard wages in a thing they call apprenticeship in Jamaica specifically, whereas others had full freedom from the beginning of 1834. And part of that was to make sure that they extracted the wealth from the people who was free labor they're about to lose. Emancipation never came without a price and without ambiguity. And that ambivalence that others have is because the project itself is a mixed project. It's not full freedom, contrary to the kind of rhetoric that you hear.
So,
there's always a partial
so
freedom.
we don't have full freedom now. I mean, we never
No,
did.
we never
did.
had. We
Okay.
never had. We never had.
Okay.
And we have succeeded despite, not because of the emancipation that we received. We have succeeded against the odds as a people. And I think every time we look at something, we have to compare. For instance, the debt we talk about. The debt now is half of what it used to be 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's progress.
Yes.
It's not what it should be, as Ms. Spears says, there's a loose thing, but it's progress. So that's what I mean, that emancipation is a work in progress. And I think part of what this season gives us the opportunity to do is to teach the history properly, so that people know where we're coming from. Naturally, some people wouldn't know it, they weren't born then, they never grew in certain things. None of us here were here when emancipation was there. But we need to learn from the past so that in our present we can navigate a better future. That's what I think it means.
But it's for that same reason that I just mentioned, or reasons that some people are saying we should take this off the calendar. Because if we don't have full freedom, then all of this is a facade.
With respect to those people, Brother Ryland, I would say that if you take it off the calendar, then you forget completely where you're coming from. You have historical amnesia. And with that, therefore, you would be more susceptible than future generations. We're more susceptible to be manipulated, twisted, and to be made unfree again because they don't know where they're coming from. This kind of thing works in a way that helps us to remember where we're coming from. Nobody tells Jewish people in the Bible and elsewhere to forget where you're coming from. You're called to remember where you're coming from. One in Armenia was my father, and I was in Egypt in bondage, but the Lord set me free, and out of that, and that must be repeated every year. Every year a Passover. If they can do it and others do it, why can't we? Why should we forget it? We shouldn't forget it so that we never go back there, but we also go forward where we should go.
Yeah. You're a member of the Reparations Committee. How does that factor into the equation of the celebration, commemoration, looking back, looking forward, where we plan to go as a nation?
Well, the council has been seeking constantly, along with others, to have the measure of again justice for the free labor that was given, and all of what that meant, the inhumanity that attended it, and it's not just in terms of monetary compensation. It's in terms of social amelioration, changing society, in terms of community development, debt forgiveness. There's a whole heap of things we do, and we do it constantly. We don't need Emancipation Day only. It's going constantly. Right now, there's a petition to the king to ask whether there is a case to answer in this reparation thing, and that will be answered whenever that is the answer. But the point we're making is that it's an ongoing project. It's an ongoing process. It never is just about a one-time event, because these things are things that outlive generations, and we have to play our part in our time.
Yeah. Danny Peart, you are involved a lot with media. What are we doing enough, you say, in terms of informing the general public as the importance of emancipation and our history?
I would quickly say no. Media, like everybody else, falls into the trap of waiting until the week of independence and emancipation to do the conversations, to even do features. There's so much in the archives in Jamaica to bring forward throughout the year. There's so much in these conversations. It's good to know that Reverend Dr. Jennings is on the reparations committee. Is that a consistent conversation in Jamaica? Do we know how important it is that we are a part of that conversation? Do we know the presentations that are being made globally to different governments, as well as bringing together bodies globally to have these conversations? This is where the media comes in. The media also comes in clarifying, having people on that can clarify for people why it is important. Because as Dr. Jennings alluded, those who fail to remember history are also most likely to repeat it. And so we don't want a repetition. And we can see different draconian practices that continue to persist globally that show us that we are not so far away from the instances where we can lose emancipation physically as well as policy-wise.
Yeah. Dr. Jennings, I think you'll have the final word in a less than a minute. What do we say to Jamaicans listening, at home and abroad, in terms of celebrating Emancipation Day tomorrow? I'm sorry, Emancipation Day tomorrow. Yeah.
I think we should celebrate it. I think we should first thank God for the freedom we have achieved. And I think we should repent of where we have ourselves become unfree, whether because of personal habits and things or because of complicity in social ones. And I think we should, having repented, we should recommit or commit ourselves to the ongoing quest of freedom, not just for ourselves to do what we like, but to help others to be free to live lives of human flourishing for the glory of God and for the blessing of people. That's what I would say. Celebrate, confess, recommit, or commit.
Yeah. Well said, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a blessed day tomorrow, day of reflection and renewal.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-959627. This has been The Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and our guests. Please join Mr. Stokely Marshall next week as he continues to look at the issues of the day. I'm Dylan Toussaint, reminding you to be purposeful, faithful, thankful, and of course, watchful as I return you to love in the morning.